Cool. Well, that was handy. Thank you very much. Hopefully you can hear me now. It shows audio is coming up on the wireless mic, which is great. But I don't know if that timed out because it's not connecting or if it's just no battery. Don't know. The other end of this is plugged into a USB hub, and I don't know that it's working that well. I had problems with the lights earlier. Biscuit Factory, I have just sold it. Well, the actual factory I had sold a while back, and outsourced production. Sorry, I have to remember where the camera is. I can't get used to. I'm looking at my own face instead of looking at the camera. So yeah, I outsourced most of the production, but I was doing all the packaging at home, and that I have now sold to finish the bagging machine, which I finished on Tuesday, past, after 4 years. So that was a big day. A big day of celebrating with a bottle of Fanta and a Milky Bar, because unfortunately designing an incredible product doesn't make any money. It's only when you sell it. So I have to meet the patent attorneys next week to find out when I can show it to people and what I can do with it. So yeah, it's good, but I had to stop doing biscuits just to focus on packaging machine. Hopefully all is good with you. Oh, and my Temu parcel has arrived. I have never bought stuff off Temu. Kind of don't know why. I don't know why. I've got stuff off Alibaba and off AliExpress. But I'm going to get some nice fake wallpaper to make this into like a wood panel wall, hopefully. Cookies sold. They were sold in not supermarkets. I deliberately avoided supermarkets because they are a price war, and they dictate quantity and pricing. Which, if you're big, is okay. You can work with that. But if you let them become your biggest supplier, you are entirely stuck with them, and they will dictate how you run your business. So they're hard work. But they were in shops. They were in independent gift shops. They were in a cruise line welcome center. They're in a couple of Belfast gift shops, Downpatrick, and online. There was most of the sales were online. So I shipped them to all over the world. Australia was probably the furthest, but a lot of them went to the US. And then markets themselves, I haven't done for a few years. I started out with markets, proved the sales, and then upgraded to fancy packaging, and nobody bought them because they looked at them and went, retail box at a supermarket, at a country market. You can get that anywhere. They couldn't, but they just looked at it as a retail box. They didn't look at it as homemade and the sort of thing you can buy in a market anymore. So I stopped doing markets and just did shops and online. So yeah, it was good. Are you making or selling? Oh, cool. Just give them to people, but give them to strangers, people who don't know who you are and don't care who you are. Because your family and your friends will tell you, oh, they're lovely. But would they part with money for them is the big question. So I literally just took them to markets and gave out samples. And if they liked them, then they bought them. Some people told me they were rotten. I made a series of iced biscuits, and there was a Prosecco. It was like all alcohol iced. There were Prosecco, gin and tonic, vodka one, whiskey one. And most of them sold really well, and the people who liked them loved them. And I had regulars; they would come back every week to get their packet of biscuits. Other people bought them for gifts, which was 99% of people. So they liked them, they were nice, but they were pricey. So you're gonna spend like £4 on a box of biscuits. You're not just gonna scoff them like you do the packet of digestives. They were a nice gift, came in a nice box. But yeah, strangers buy them and eat them, and if they come back, then it's good. Getting one sale is pretty easy because they look at the packaging. If you do samples, it's great. But some people tasted like the prosecco one and said, "Oh, it's far too sweet. Don't like it." And other people tasted it and thought it was amazing. So, you got to test a good size sample. So do a few markets. I've had markets where you sell 2 boxes all day and it cost me money to be there. It was rubbish. And then I get the others where you sell 100 boxes. But yeah, it's trial and error. Pricing was actually pretty easy. um, in hindsight, at the time, it seemed like a nightmare. But as long as you cover all your costs, including your time, make sure your time's in there, or you'll never be able to replace yourself. But if they're going to be like mine just cost too much. I couldn't buy big enough quantities of ingredients to get them down to compete with supermarket type prices. So I put them in nicer packaging instead of selling them in a bag. I put them in a plastic bag and then put them in a nice box. And then the box sold it because people bought it as a gift, which is how I ended up just doing tourists and gift shops. Uh, oh, that's cool. You need to do a lot of flyers. I've done flyers, delivering them myself, literally walking door to door. It's a lot of mileage, and I've done paid service where somebody goes out and does them. But yeah, you got to be putting out a few thousand flyers, like several thousand. Yeah, there are butter alternatives and cheap variations and mixes and stuff you do. I was determined not to. I just wanted to keep it simple and just do pure butter. I mean, mine was shortbread. There was 3 ingredients. Um, the first biscuit I made had honey and whiskey in it, and it was delicious. It was literally the most expensive biscuit in the world. Short of coating it with gold, there was nothing else you could put in it that would make it more expensive. It was daft. It was very tasty, and I could probably do it again and put it in a really expensive swanky box, and people would pay like £10 for 2 or 3 biscuits. But it would be a crazy, silly, expensive marketing gig more than a long-term business. But yeah, try your prices, but don't. If you get successful sales, say you're selling at $3 and it's working, go to a market and double it and see what you can sell. I was surprised what people will spend on biscuits. So, I mean, people in the US, people spend. I'm in Northern Ireland, so it's the ship from here to the US could be £30 for a big box of biscuits. People spend £10 on a box of biscuits and 10 to £20 on shipping, which made no sense to me because they could have ordered £40 or $40 worth of biscuits and spent $10 on shipping. It was bizarre, but they wanted them as a gift. It was the right thing they wanted, and off they went. Yeah, packaging is a great way, especially if it's going to be a gift. If they just want a packet of biscuits or a packet of cookies, it depends on the buyer. If they just want a cookie to go with their tea when they walk around the market, they want a reasonable priced tasty cookie, and they'll give you a couple of dollars for it. If they want it in a nice box and they're going to give it as a gift, 3 cookies in a bag is a crap gift. It's rubbish. But when it comes in a nice box, now it's complete and it's ready to go, and they can put a card with it, and it looks like they spent a bit of money on someone. Um, so yeah, same product. But I had the same product for 8 years in multiple packaging, fancy cardboard Christmas tubes at £10, and little market boxes for £3. Same product, slightly different quantity, but target market. It suited them. Are you shipping them? Do you put them in the post and send them off to around the world, or is it local? Yeah, that's the that's the torture I had. So I just went expensive and up the packaging a bit more because with scale, packaging scales the cost of it scales much faster than the ingredients. And when I was buying a quarter ton of ingredients, the price came down by point something of a pound. But when I ordered thousands of packaging, it came down by 10 or like tens of pence. So I could be saving 70 or 80 pence on a packaging order, whereas I was only saving a few pounds on ingredients. So yeah, your packaging costs scale far better than your ingredient costs. But yeah, if you're doing hand delivered, then it's a luxury service, and there's a company in LA, I think in the US, I can't remember what they're called, but they do a cookie drop like once a week, limited number of cookies, and they're insanely expensive. Now they do a range of really fancy ingredients. You've got red velvet and you've caramel and toppings and all sorts of things, but they're basically just cookies with nice toppings on them, and they're still just cookies. But they put them in a nice individually wrapped box and post them. But if you're hand delivering as well, then it's a service business. So you can charge more for it and start to bundle stuff with it, buy things that you can put with the cookies that are luxury and nicer. Fancy drinks that come with it. I'm not talking about alcohol, it's a whole other business, but you get nice non-alcoholic drinks that go with it. They can turn it into a bundle and have it delivered to their house, and suddenly it's gone from a cookie to an evening in. And you can buy them wholesale, and it's cheap. And if it doesn't work, you have a few drinks left over that you can drink yourself. It's an easy and cheap way to test it. Yeah, the cardboard box is ugly. So yeah, if you go, what I did, I started out with cupcake boxes, and the biscuits were in a bag in a cupcake box, which did not look snazzy. Um, I cannot get that focus to work. Try tapping on the phone. Yeah, eventually I went to nice retail boxes. I haven't got them here. I haven't got set up yet. I'm gonna have all my history of boxes I'll have here. But the outer box, you get this thing, and it's cheap. So you end up going to printed boxes, or you use a nice rubber stamp that puts a good black and white print design on it, or stickers that look good, like fancy stickers. I don't mean kids stickers. You can get really nice glossy ones, or semi-clear and QR codes and that kind of thing. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's entirely just marketing. Now, if you go into product widths, then you start to bring out a range and you become a cookie company. There's lots of people who do that, and they like the baking side of things. My plan was never to be a baker. The whole thing was meant to be outsourced from the start. I was meant to be the sales marketing guy doing design, and my first outsourced partner completely let me down. It was a menace. So I ended up making the cookies at home and selling them, and just grew wildly, organically, and roughly from there, making tons of expensive mistakes. But yeah, got there in the end. Uh, the last packaging I had, let me see if there's a box. There's one here. I'll have to get it. It's a fancy retail box. I don't think I have any here. They're all packed away when I close the business. And the plan is to bring them all back in here to have them set up for the demo videos. But it was a nice hexagonal box with gold foil stone walls on it. Very Irish looking. Because it was for tourists. So they wanted something that's specifically Northern Ireland. So I just picked, well, I went to the tourist board and said, what's the most best known landmark? And they said it's the Giant's Causeway in the Mourns. So I put pictures of the Giant's Causeway on the box and a Mourns stone wall on it. So it was a data driven decision, but it was nice. And it was expensive. But the boxes I was paying, I think my first box was like £3 for one cardboard box. I'm talking like literally a biscuit box. Cardboard biscuit box was like £3 per box. But by the time I was selling them in bulk, they were down to 14p, I think. I used pixartprinting.com, and they do a set size of box. So rather than me paying a designer for a couple of thousand and then ordering a series of boxes for another couple of thousand, I could go in there and order one box. Or I could order 2,000, and the price is on the website, it just shows you. And I could upload my design onto the website. Most of them were gifts. So birthday, Christmas is obviously big, but they were typically like an add-on gift. So you get somebody something nice, and then you buy them a box of biscuits to go with it. But there didn't seem to be a specific event. I never did weddings. I didn't do the small boxes they do for wedding favors, but yeah, it seemed to be mostly just birthdays. I did some cards for a while. Actually, I have those there. I did a series of birthday. There's a local designer who does nice birthday cards, so I partnered with them. Just bought the cards wholesale, had a small stock of them, and then bundled them with the biscuits. I sold a good few of those, so presumably most of those sales were for birthdays. Loads. There's Valentine's was a little bit, Easter was a little bit, and then um, late September is the start of Christmas, right up to Christmas Eve. I was pushing the biscuits like mad, and I never sold a single biscuit in January. And that's typically when the tourists come in, and they were coming in for cruises, and that's when the sort of tourist market takes off. A lot of people come here in January to visit Ireland, but yeah, nobody buys biscuits in January. Early February they pick up again. So you got to make enough money in December and November time, to sit around looking at yourself thinking what you're going to do this year for marketing in January. Do you have a website, or do you have a promo or business name? You might be the one and only other person apart from me who ever sees this video. It'll be on YouTube, but by all means, if anybody watches it, and you're in Australia, I think, let me know. I'll give you a shout out here on the video. Locally was door-to-door sales. I was literally going into the shops with samples and a price list and say, here you go, try that. And they would just taste them. Well, they always take them and taste them. Other than that, print advertising, I did the flyers, business cards, I did markets, I did sample days in some of the shops. So you go and stand in the shop with samples and hand them out. The shops loved that. And online then was tons of online. Digital marketing is what my 20 years of background was, and sales. So there was organic social, paid social, SEO. I didn't get on the affiliate route with this one because the margins were so tight. They were on retail, they were 20 to 30%. So 20% is fairly typical. 30% was for the higher cost ones like the gin or the whiskey biscuits. So I could charge more for those because I was the only person who made them. But yeah, that's 20% profit, so that's company profit. That was already building in my time, ingredients, oven costs, all the running costs to make a batch. But yeah, you got to put your wages in because otherwise you are never going to be able to replace yourself because you never get high enough margin to pay a wage on top of company profit, which you can invest in absorbing some of the future ingredient costs. In theory, you should invest it in machinery and upgrades and that kind of thing. Growing. Uh, yeah, so a WIP website. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, work in progress website. Cool. Yeah, when you get up and running, you'll have to drop me a message, any of the socials, and let me know. I can share it out there. Highest cost after wages. I'm trying to think whether it was the ingredients or postage wasn't it was a cost, but it was built into the cost and the customers paid it for the consumers. For the retail ones, the premises. Yeah, just running the building. But other than if you're at home, or when I was at home, then the other cost was packaging. But time is the biggest cost. The time of sitting packing. Packing is slow. But the actual boxes, the fancy retail boxes, were expensive at the start. Uh, yeah, just looking at some of the boxes left over here, but I've had some waste boxes. Don't make the mistake I made with cardboard tubes for Christmas one year, and I bought a few thousand cardboard tubes, forgetting, of course, that unlike these, which come flat pack, cardboard tubes do not flat pack. As 7 DHL vans turned up outside my factory, I didn't have room for 7 DHL vans, so that was a giggle. But they were fortunately for a pre-order for some of the shops, so they'll get rid of them again. But I'd hate to have been stuck with them. Where are we? Yeah, feedback's great. Sorry, just looking at my time here. I'm gonna have to go and get these parcels to get set up here before they go and get the kids for the school run. But for consumers, yeah, if they like them, ask them, do they want to place an order. Subscriptions are popular, but they're kind of fading a bit in the UK. I think there's so many subscription things, but cookie subscription where they get a discount and give them a bit of a FOMO, and give them the chance to order before anybody else can be quite good. But yeah, ask them how the cookies were, and then you could offer them a discount on future cookies on the next order. Yeah, yeah, that's the way to go. But literally also just ask them, would you like to order more? Because lots of people would say yes. If you don't ask them, they're like, I'm not under any pressure. I don't feel any requirement. They were very nice, and I might think about it again in the future. But if you just ask them, would you like to order another one? Uh, here's a discount. Or if you order one in the next 3 days, here's 5-10% off, whatever it is. Or buy three get one free, something like that. I quite like that one because the cost of ingredients versus packaging was you could bundle one more cookie into the pack, which was cheaper than running 5 or 10% off the whole box. Yeah, it sounds good. I hope it goes really well for you. But yeah, you got to stick at it. Farmers markets here is where the buyers from the retail shops actually walked around. One of my first big orders, the lady asked me, "Am I at any markets?" And I said yes. That's where I had tested to prove that the biscuits were there. And she looked all surprised because she hadn't met me at the markets for whatever reason. We'd never crossed paths, but she was all pleased and did, oh, that'd be great. And then eventually placed an order for a load of biscuits. Yeah, yeah. There's always creative ways to increase the perceived value without demolishing your profits. So that's why I like add-ons and freebies. And I used to give key rings and uh, tea towels and bits away in boxes of cookies because I could buy them wholesale, and for the sake of adding in a few pence or a pound for a product, which looks like a lot and adds to the value of a gift, versus here's 20% off, and it just comes straight out of your profit. Whereas I could control the wholesale price and buy bulk and keep running the same offer, but keep decreasing the profit loss by buying higher quantities of wholesale stuff to give away. Yeah, you got to stick at it. Don't even worry about brand. It's important to kind of keep the brand the same over time, but people get to know you. I became known as Biscuit Mike. So I don't think anybody ever remembered the company name. It was Iconic Biscuits. I don't think anybody cared. I was just that guy you get biscuits off. But as long as they bought them, I didn't care. Cool. If you're on Skool, or even if you're not on Skool, you can check out. It's skool.com. I'm trying to build there's an e-commerce packaging help um, community in there. When I say community, there's two of us so far. um, but yeah, dive in there. And thanks very much for joining in. And thanks very much for letting me know about the mic. It was great. Yeah, it's just me. Christmas, I snagged a couple of family to help me pack a couple of big orders. But yeah, even when I built up the factory, it was, I would say automated, but it was, yeah, mostly automated. But it was me running around the machines, turning out 1,000 biscuits a day, packed and ready to go. Thank you very much. Hopefully that's been useful. This has been great for me to test the setup and see what works. Trying to remind myself to look at the camera, and I'll see if I can fix that focus issue. But cool. Thank you very much.